Hey everybody, today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Welcome to another DMVCBN Comic Book Club. Shout out to all returning visitors and subscribers, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. We're here to discuss comics, new and old, print and digital. We're going to take turns sharing our recommendations, and we'll try to avoid spoilers unless we announce otherwise. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I'm your host Freddy, aka the DMV Comic Book Nerd. I am 36 years old from Washington, D.C., and I'd also like to welcome our returning guest, special friend of the pod. We've got Travelle. How you doing, Travelle?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm Travelle, everyone. Nice, very nice to see everyone again. I am the big boy nerd, as many on the internet may know and call me. I am from Long Island, New York, proudly, black parts of Long Island, but I've been currently living in Queens for the last 11 years, and that's been a really lovely experience. I'm married with a beautiful daughter. And I'm a personal trainer too. So and I'm also a writer and an avid comic book nerd. So I hope to have some stimulating and titillating conversations with everyone and with my man, Freddie.
Absolutely, yes. Can't wait to get into it. And let's waste no time. So, since you are the guest, would you like to start us up today? Give us one of your favorite recommendations.
Yeah. I think that it's important to give some context around why we're giving recommendations. We Before we started our recording session, we were talking about how difficult it's been lately to actually still keep up with reading comic books.
Yeah.
And we both agreed that it has been difficult because times have been very challenging and it's very easy to feel hopeless and not want to engage in things that make us happy and hopeful. With that being said, I realized that being able to have a conduit or outlet in which we can actually exercise our imagination and play with our imagination in spaces that especially made us make us feel closer to our inner child, like comic books, things of that nature, is essential for today's times. The reason why I would say that it's essential is because when you use your imagination, I've been saying this for weeks, but when you use your imagination, you not only identify what is, but you identify what could be. You also interact with that part of yourself and create, and cultivate, the possibility of something else than what's in front of you. So with that being said, I have been trying to get back into reading my comic books. One of the ones that I have been reading like consistently, I've been reading the Absolute Universe, which has been really good.
Yeah.
But the one that I keep finding that I'm very excited to go back to and read is actually Wonder Woman. It's like the way that I've been like reading them is that's been giving me excitement is what it's the Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Batman. All of them are stellar books. All of them are fantastic books.
Yeah, I'm reading all the
Yeah.
absolute books as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
And thank you for the context you put up front
Yeah.
because like I agree like this is something where we want to not only just recommend comic books but explain like why this is important, why this matters to us and why it might matter to people who haven't read it yet or might want to check it out because like we said these are tough times. We are, you know, sometimes not as able to read comic books as much as we want to, but
Right.
that makes them even more valuable in a way because it's like, like you said, this is where we are exercising our imagination. This is where we are,
Sure
you
indeed.
know, like kind of sometimes people use comic books as escapism, you know. Sometimes
Right.
people use comic books as a way to talk about the issues, and that's what,
Indeed.
and very much in the Marvel tradition, they were deliberately showing the world outside your window. Like maybe it was, you know, more brightly colored, more 2D, but at least you had them. They talked about real issues whenever they could, and that's the stuff that as a kid you read it and you're like, oh, I didn't know about this. You learn a lot by reading it, but as an adult, you can look at it and be like, wow, like they really knew what they were doing,
Right.
and
Oh yeah.
they had a message that they wanted to bring across.
It's like really impressive too to be able to like check out, things in its proper context as you get older. It's like to think about like how, I just recently read something that that I read something recently about from Jack Kirby that somebody actually recorded rewrote something that they said that they actually spoke to Jack Kirby about. Like somebody like put something up and it actually was really poignant to me. I'm gonna look it up really quick because I saved it because I was like, holy crap. It actually really says a lot about the caliber of who Jack Kirby was, but also like the ways in which like he used comic books in a similar way that we need to use comic books right now. And like his like commitment to what of how to like actually use comic books in this way. I've found it's here. I'll just read it really quickly if I can,
Sure.
really quick. It says here, I had a guy die on me once during the war, and he looked up at me and said, "What the hell happened? What happened?" And here I was, just a schmo from east side of New York City, and how you answered the guy, and how do you answer the guy? I told him, "You happened." See, and that was real. It got me to think about how valuable human beings are. And at that moment, I discovered my own humanity. In that moment, I discovered everyone else's. So like that's something that Jack Kirby said about his experiences. Thank you. And like how and what ways that, his life really influenced how and what ways he used comic books as a form of like hope, but also as a form of like like inspiration and instruction in certain ways. Because like, and I'm really proud of that to know that, you know, I like to know that I can be a part of like comic books, even though there's a lot of stuff that I have trouble with right now, is politically with the comic books. I can say that like at its core, when these characters were put out in the world to represent specific things, and they symbolize certain things, especially because the creators were these kind of people, were like
Yeah.
certain types of caliber of people. So
Yeah.
like that is something I'm forever proud of. Like, like I'm very, very proud of that. So yeah, yeah,
Thank
man.
you for sharing that. Yeah, like it's definitely
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. It's about connecting us to our humanity and
Right.
giving us an avenue to express our humanity to others. And yeah, like Jack Kirby was like the king. That's why we call him the king, because he knew what he was doing, and he lived a real life, and he
Right.
wasn't taking any shit from anybody.
I
and
mean, yeah. Yeah.
so so all
Yeah.
right, so
And
let's get in. So I think we
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
get
man.
into it. So what's the
Okay.
first book you want to recommend here?
Good idea. So the first book that I would like to recommend, we were just talking about it very briefly. Honestly, we were just talking about DC heroes. So first book I was thinking about check it out and recommend it for folks. Just talking about Wonder Woman, but this is Wonder Woman Earth One. It's
Yeah.
written by Grant Morrison. Let me see if it actually shows his name. Grant
Hmm.
Morrison.
Yep.
Yep. And
Yannick Paquette.
yeah, Yannick Paquette, right, did the art. It's really fantastic art. Now, I love this book. It's very good. It's not really action heavy. It's not like a typical Wonder Woman, like, oh, she's throwing people through buildings and all of that. That stuff kind of happens, but it's not really a typical action book. It's a coming of age origin story, but with a twist. It actually has a lot. It brings it back to her original roots around like dominatrix and like certain themes that were incorporated from the creator because he had a dominatrix that he lived with and his living mistress, the whole thing. He was kind of on some stuff. So it brings back a lot of the elements that he originally incorporated in the character when he made her.
Yep.
So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of odes to that. Like they bound her by her cufflinks in it, as you can see
Hmm.
in the opening, and that in
Yeah.
itself
Yeah.
is a
Lots of
throwback.
bondage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some bondage stuff. Like yeah, so that's ill. But my
But
favorite
I
part
gotta
is it.
say, can I
Yeah,
on that point? Can I say like
yeah, yeah.
I like how it's not just like kinky bondage. It's also they talk about
Nah.
loving submission and like they make it like a
Hmm.
whole part of Amazonian culture, and it's just different
Exactly.
from American like traditional, I guess,
Yeah,
purity culture.
traditional.
But like,
Indeed.
so like that's the great thing about Grant Morrison. Like they always kind of
Hmm.
Grant Morrison seems I would call Grant Morrison an outsider because
Yeah,
compared to
definitely.
like most writers, Grant Morrison I think thinks outside of the box.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
so like I
Oh yeah.
remember when this came out, it was a big deal because um, Wonder Woman wasn't getting that much shine compared to like Superman and Batman at the
No,
time. Like
especially with the absolute. but especially with this like Earth One jump
Yeah, like
off that because they were doing like they had two volumes each of Superman and Batman by the time they got to this.
mm-hmm.
It was like mad shine. I have both of the I have all the volumes of those too of like Batman and
Yeah.
Superman. They were good, but I still think that this left the most lasting impression on me. I think out of all of them.
I think I agree. Like out of the Earth One books I read, yeah, Earth One Wonder Woman is definitely the best
Yeah,
one.
yeah. But also Green Lantern's cold too. That Green Lantern, I didn't get a chance to read the second one because there's volume two that talks about John Stewart.
Okay, I
I
don't
didn't
think I
read
read
that
any
one
of the
yet.
Green Lantern
But Green
ones yet.
Lanterns ones are really cool because those are like it's super duper sci-fi. It's like horror sci-fi. It's that's the way it's written. It's very cool. It's very cool. It's very similar to like Absolute Green Lantern right now when it's like horror sci-fi.
Yeah,
Absolute Green Lantern is really cold too. Actually, it's one of my favorite books too. I actually really like that book.
let's hold that thought and come back to it because
We'll go back to it. Yeah.
I do want to. We were talking a little bit before we hit record about
Uh,
the fact that Steve Trevor in this version is black.
yeah, say
Like,
word. That's the one thing I was about to bring up. I had the page actually
all right,
ready.
yeah,
See, look at my brother right here. You see him looking like me with the big lips and all of
yeah,
that?
like that is a
My
black
dog
man.
right
There's
there.
no
It's a
doubt
black
about it.
man. Wonderful.
Now,
That's
why
Steve
is now
Trevor.
now it is a little awkward for her to be
Yeah.
offering him a collar, but in context though, it's worth reading. It's interesting.
It is quite interesting. I mean, and also, like I said, I think like we talked about this before we started recording, but like since Grant Morrison did this and made Steve Trevor a black man, like they haven't done it again, and they've never done it since like before that, and they never did it
and
again.
I
Like that. I don't, at least I don't have any recollection of Steve Trevor ever being a black man
see
besides this book,
see
and
I've
that's
made that
crazy to me.
point. I've made that point on this podcast before because
Hmm.
that's why I get frustrated with diversity and inclusion when it's like temporary or was like
It'll
not
be
committed
temporary.
to
Yeah, yeah,
we've seen a couple black Jimmy Olsens, but then we get
right.
the brand new superhero movie, he's back to being white,
Being a
and
white
like
boy,
and that's
right?
fine. Actually I think he's I think he's actually might be Jewish or Italian or both, and that's great. Like, inclusion is everybody, but at the same time, you know it just it's frustrating to see, they they race bend it to black and then they race bend it back. Like it feels like
Yeah.
it cheapens it in a way for me
It's a
sometimes.
trial offer. It's a trial like situation. It's like we can only do this like inclusion stuff for just a couple of minutes. Then we got to get back to the status quo. Like that's why I said like before when we were off the call that like this once there's all this make America great again stuff is off, getting boring to white people, they'll start to get interested in cultural things, diverse things again, and try to man, that's going to be all trending, and they're gonna make black people going to be on the up. But I think that that's going to take a little while. We got to at least wait for Trump to get out the office. But I say that because, like, I think that around the time when this book was made is like when I think might have been President Obama might have been in office. It's like that. There's like it's like a specific time in which like these types of decisions that are made for inclusion are made and action on in some way. And then when it gets too uncomfortable for white men, they turn shit back around, and it's nothing new,
and
But
and women.
never, yeah, and women. Nevertheless, though, before we move on, I want to just talk about Steve. One thing I want to say about Steve is that I think that DC is actually shooting themselves in the foot by not taking the time to make Steve Trevor's black. Like because I think Steve Trevor as a black man there is a lot of rich storytelling that could be told, even if you have just one long arc, even if it's like 10, 12 issues with him being black, like it that in itself like would change the fabric of the character around like why he decides to help her in the first place, what's his decision making about like all of that's altered when he's black, man. Like in fact they actually even talks about that in the book. There's parts in the book
Yeah.
that she's like, oh, like they're not good to me here as a woman, like, and he's like, my people, I trust me, like I know, like it's not that it's never been good for me here, like he talks about it in that way, and that changes
Yeah.
his whole relationship with her, with the world, with him being in, I think he's in the what is Steve Trevor in the Air Force or something like that, him being in the army or whatever. It
Hmm.
changes all of the it changes all the context of that, and DC shooting themselves in the foot by not hiring a black woman to write that. That's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, um, it's interesting because they do have. some diversity at DC. They have, is it Stephanie Williams doing a lot of
Yeah, she's doing some
Wonder
Wonder
Woman
Woman
and
right now.
Nubia
Yeah,
stuff as well.
yeah.
And so we've seen more of Nubia in recent years. We've seen more of Etta Candy, where usually they've race bent her, and now she's black sometimes. I think in the Absolute Universe, and also sometimes other incarnations. So it's interesting.
Right. Etta Candy too. Etta Candy's another one that they just keep going back and forth with.
Yeah, yeah,
That's another one. That's interesting. That's something in itself we could talk about and pry into and like
yeah,
go get the data around that.
yeah,
Around how
absolutely.
often these characters get flipped back and forth. Like I would like to do a quick, maybe I'll do like a pie graph or, or
Right.
something like that because that's crazy to me. Like it's really real. Like it really happens like a lot. It happens a lot.
I would like to kind of speak about a black character who's always been black and is staying black, as far as I know.
Mm, mm.
I'd like to talk about Static. Here's Static and Batman Beyond #2, or Batman Static Beyond, or whatever it's
I've
called.
been wanting to
But
read this. Hmm.
yeah, this book is dope, man. Everyone should be reading
Hmm.
this. It's written by Evan Narcisse, drawn by Nicholas Draper Ivey.
Oh, Nicholas
Um,
Draper Harvey's drawing it.
yeah, like
He's
this.
been drawing Static for the last like 10 years though, or something.
Yeah, he's been on it for a minute. Like he did
He's been
the
doing it for a
reboot
minute.
version,
Yeah. He's been
and
doing it for a while.
yeah. So we've got a black creative team. We've got
Yeah.
really great art and interesting story. And it's very much, if you were a fan of the cartoons growing up, then you absolutely have to be reading this because it's just
Yeah, that sounds
very
ill.
good.
That sounds really ill. Yeah, that sounds ill. All right, to move on to the next book real quick. I know we were trying to make these moves and stay within parameters. So the
Right.
next book I want to talk about is Kindred. Kindred is a book that is actually a Octavia Butler novel that got translated into a graphic novel by the big homie John Jennings and Damian Duffy. Damian Duffy did. Now they are both incredible in the work that they do. So it took a lot of work for them to just like take the time to like analyze the storyboard. That's the book. The storyboard, like the way that they were going to translate some of the stuff from the novel and what they think that these characters look like. It was like really, I actually spoke to John Jennings about it, about like how like what his process was around that, and he said it was like really intricate. He like had to keep going back and forth and read certain passages over and over again to get like certain like features right about a certain characters, to like think about like what would be appropriate for the time for what they'd be wearing, because this story takes place in the 1970s, even though Octavia Butler wrote it in the 90s. So like there's also got to be like a lot, it's almost like you're making a movie. It's a story, it's a screenplay, and then you got to kind of fill in all the world around with like color, art, movement, all of that stuff. And he said he kind of used it as like a screenplay to be like, yo, then we're gonna make this into a full-blown book. So it was him and Damian Duffy, and they're both geniuses, and I think that it's a really important book to read because off the cuff too, it's not only is it Octavia Butler because she's a prophet, but
Yeah.
also because it's like the most important, one of the most poignant examinations on interracial dating that I've ever read in my entire life. And I think it's crucial for most people to read it. And I guarantee you, you won't pick up the same thing uh, twice reading it. Each time I read it, I learn something new, think about it in a new perspective, new way. It's laden with like really practical thought exercises around how slavery, racism, misogyny all are interconnected and play a role in American society. It's like really a breathtaking book, but I think it's a really helpful book to read in today's times and provides a little bit of hope.
I love that, man. I definitely have to check that out. Like, I got into Octavia Butler last year. I read Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents, and I have not yet read Kindred, but I'm very interested in the fact that Kindred has a graphic novel, and so do the Parable series. Like,
Hmm.
I haven't read those yet, but that's on my list. Like, I gotta get those books
Yeah, I got
because
a
they
cop
look
them. Yeah, I haven't
amazing.
got them yet. Yeah, I got a cop them. I just haven't had the money to get them yet, but I'm working on
Same,
that part.
yeah, same.
When I get like the money, I'm gonna like go hard and start collecting heavy again. I used to collect like heavy. But now it's been a couple years, especially having a daughter. I can't collect the same way, so
I
gotta
feel you.
get that right, get that right,
Yep.
get back to that. Yeah. So what about you? Any books on your end that you've been rocking with, or you think
All
is a
right.
good idea to read?
All right. The next book I'll recommend, Ultimate Hawkeye. All right. So this came
Ooh,
out a few months ago. Um,
wow.
it's so it has opening story by Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri, who are doing the Ultimates book. And they introduced
Oh, cool.
This version of Hawkeye. But then there's a main story by B. Earl and Taboo from Black Eyed Peas, and
Oh,
the
taboo.
artist,
Whoa,
yep,
whoa.
and the artist is Michael Sta Maria. So uh, they have actual indigenous people working on this story about
Wow.
an indigenous two-spirit person. Um,
Whoa.
so like in case people don't know, like the new Hawkeye in the Ultimate Universe, um, their name is Charlie. I'm trying to think of what their full
Really?
name is, but yeah, it's like really interesting the new spin that they have on this Hawkeye, and this story really allowed them to go deeper into who this character is, and he is
Dope.
tough, or I should say they're
They
very
are.
tough.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
like they got basically into a fight scenario, like an underground fighting ring. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but when you see who Hawkeye's opponent is, oh my jaw dropped. I mean, like I mean, I wasn't,
Word?
I shouldn't have been as surprised as I was, but I was. So I'll admit
Wow.
it. Like
Wow.
I think just because it goes back to like if you think about Hawkeye and the various um, personas or outfits Hawkeye has worn, and not
Right.
just I'm kind of talking about Clint Barton, but also just like in general, like this issue does a really good job of saying that you have our new Hawkeye and it's rooted in everything we already know about Hawkeye, but it's something new at the same time. So it's just interesting in that way. I
That's really
definitely recommend
interesting.
it.
That sounds really, really fascinating. I want to check that out because I've been trying to get through some stuff that like I've been kind of lacking. Like it's some things that I just haven't got a chance to finish and read.
Hmm.
So I'm like I'm starting to get through some more things that I just want to go back and like finish because I just like there's been so many changes going on that I just haven't gotten an opportunity to like, give myself the space and time to like just chill out and read it. Like, and that's another thing like that I find that makes it harder for me to read comic books nowadays is that I kind of think that due to the decaying state of everything around us right now, that I have to always be actioning and working and like trying to stay in survival mode, trying to work,
Yeah,
and so when you
I
get a little
struggle
bit
with
of
that too.
downtime, yeah, I
Yeah.
struggle with it, right? So you get a little bit of downtime, you're like, I shouldn't be like reading books like this. I should be like trying to like figure out what the next hustle is, and that is a really, really unhealthy relationship to have with those things that you love. And it's the same thing my wife was telling me that not everything you do has to have some sort of capitalistic value. Like I don't have to, play video games on Twitch in order to play video games. Like I could just play video games and just like chill out and, play a video game and not have to like have it be attached to some form of income and, capital value. Just like, nah, just like if I enjoy this game, I'm fucking with it. Like I don't need to, it's just been that's been something that that's something that's really hard for me to make sense of these days sometimes. It's like being into my interest without having some like, connection to some sort of other form of capital. That's been really difficult. And I noticed that comic books kind of been nestled into that too. It's like, I'm like, I should be writing more about comic books. I should be, doing a podcast. Like stuff like that instead of just being like, oh, let me just enjoy this
I
because
mean,
this is me.
it's all about balance, isn't it?
Mhm.
There's a book that I like. I don't know if I'm not recommending another book yet because it's your turn, but I'm just
Okay.
gonna mention that there's a book about cognitive therapy, and it talks
Oh,
about
Dave.
um, it's by David Burns, and it talks about one kind of statement people make is should statements. Like when you make should statements, um, they almost are never good for your emotional well-being because it's
No,
like
you're right.
you're comparing yourself to a
You're
standard that doesn't exist. So,
indeed.
so
Yeah.
it's very hard. But like, but
Well
if we
put.
can be aware of that and like try to avoid that, and then we can kind of focus on what we're doing, what we're being, and because we do have to find that balance between we gotta hustle, but we also gotta, rest sometimes. Like we gotta work, we gotta rest, we gotta have time for the things we love, but we also have to make time for the things we might not love as much, and that's just the work part of it.
Yeah.
But
That's just it. Yeah, man.
yeah,
I mean, like, I appreciate you saying that because, like, that's something I've been working on for the last couple of months and understanding that the word should is a subjective statement.
yeah,
That's you, like, being like, that's your personal idea around how you think things or you should be about something.
hmm
Like, think that things are supposed to go. And that in itself is very limiting. So and I appreciate you saying that because, like, I find that working on that just that complex that I have, like the whole should thing, it gives me more space to be back into my interests and love the things that I love and, not be so hard on myself when when I'm just trying to do trying to be into the things that make me who I am,
same.
So
Like,
like I appreciate you saying that, bro.
and I'm working on it myself too. Like every day, it's like a challenge of like, all right, what are my priorities today? Like, how am I gonna, you know, do what I need to do, and also find hopefully a little bit of time to, you know, do what I need to do for myself. So it's like
No, it's real.
it's a struggle for us all, I think, especially in these
It is a
times.
struggle for us all. It is, man. But yeah, I'm gonna show you the next book
All
real
right,
quick. Yeah, so the next book that I wanted to show was this book called a little ditty. It's called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. As you can see, it's
nice.
referencing the immortal Jack Kirby with this
Yeah,
Captain American
Captain
cover.
America
And
number one.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but it's perfect work right here because this is really truly it because it's a matter of it being that, black people, are the ultimate, national
anti-fascist,
anti-fascist,
anti-racist. Yeah,
anti-fascist force, anti-racist force. Black people are that. I mean, don't get me wrong, like white people need to be accountable for each other and themselves. So they gotta have other white people like Steve Rogers being accountable and punching, you know, a Nazi in the face. It's important. However, like understand that reimagining this actually repositions it back in the hands of black people, black women in particular, to be like, yo, they have been doing this fight for longer, even longer than Steve Rogers. She has been on this
and
fight. So
Harriet Tubman
go.
is a real life figure. So
A
like
real
a
person.
story like this elevates her even further into
Even
myth,
further.
into legend
Indeed.
status. Like I
Right.
haven't read it yet, but I love everything you said so far, and I'm definitely interested. I might have to check it out because
Mhm.
I'm very curious. What the story entails. I assume it's lots of action. I assume it's lots
Yeah.
of like, you know, she's a demon slayer, so she's got to be slaying some
Yeah.
demons, right?
Yeah, and it's also I spoke to the creator when I bought it, when I copped it from him. He signed this one. This is the one I keep up in my on my wall. And he was telling me, he was like, "Yeah, dog." He was just like Harriet Tubman herself was like a superhero. He was like her physicality and what she was able to do was just like the limited resources she had and what the limited amount of like sustenance that she had was extremely impressive. She was doing things that like Olympic athletes were doing. Like she was 4'11" or something like that, and she was carrying a gun that was a rifle and was about as big as her. And she's like running on foot for miles. She was running like 30, 40 miles in the heat and the sun, and she was swimming for miles, and she would get out with that gun, the heavy clothes, and still be freeing people, roughing up white supremacists up. Like she was like actually like, and she would run at a crazy fast speed. Like
And she was avoiding
she was like
slave
dog.
catchers
She
and
was like
dogs, and
avoiding
yeah,
slave catchers. And that's not even a talk about her like strategic acumen, how much of a brilliant general she was. That's not
right.
even talk about that. Just her physicality alone, she's a superhero. Like she could like it's wild. Like it's like if you really like seriously like take some time and look up what she was physically on, you'd be surprised. Like because like that's like it really is incredible. And actually, if one to were to draw some impact and some parallel to like someone like a Simone Biles, you would think it makes sense that someone like Simone Biles can do what she does with her body at her stature, because someone like Harriet Tubman was doing it for much higher stakes for different reasons, and like figured it out, like what she could do in her body. Like that's what I'm saying. Like look up what she was able to do. It will amaze you, and it will make a lot of sense why Homeboy was like, let's make this into a comic book. It only makes sense.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Do we have time for one more book?
Yeah, we do have time for one more book, man. Yeah, let's rock with it, bro.
All right. So I want to just throw this out there because I read this yesterday. Avengers 800 came out. Okay, this is technically issue 34, but it's also 800 if you go all the way back to the first Stan Lee, Jack Kirby Avengers. I got the front and back cover here. I love it, man. It's great. Like I've been following this book since it started, and now I'm realizing that we're getting too close to the end. Like Jed MacKay's run is coming to an end, I think, in like 2 more issues. So, and this issue really celebrates what it did. Like it talked about the tribulation events. We saw the first one was in the book with the I can't remember the name of the villains. Like I'll admit that was not the biggest selling point of the book for me, but Blood Hunt was dope though. I love Blood Hunt, and Jed MacKay was doing that too.
That was the Blade run.
Yeah,
Word, it was good. Word.
I loved it. Like I think it was great. I recommend that.
Check it out. Right.
Not only Blood Hunt, but some of the tie-ins to Blood Hunt, Black Panther, Blood Hunt.
I'm curious about that. I'm always raising my eyebrows at white people that write black characters. I want to see what they do and see what they get right or wrong.
Right.
That's why I was quite impressed. I gotta say, quick interjection. Shout out to Tom King. Because he actually did a good job when it came to writing Mr. Terrific and Strange Adventures. Very impressed with that. I actually really did like that book, and I did like Mr. Terrific's portrayal. I think there was really strategic things that he did in regards to like respecting his experience as a black man, a black person, that he actually kind of incorporated into the writing, into his characterization. I thought was really quite brilliant. So I give him credit because some white people do it right. Some white people, Kelly Sue DeConnick. It's another one. She gets it right from time to like most of the time.
Like I feel like a good writer will get it right, and some writers like if I can speak on this for just a moment, I'm gonna say that something that might be controversial, but I honestly believe that some writers write what people want to see, and some writers don't, and they could be any race, any ethnicity, because, like, I think about Black Panther, right? Like, I really did not like John Ridley's run for a lot of reasons, and I won't get into it right now. I think a lot of people who've read it agree. Yeah. Like, I've seen other people, tear into him because he wrote what he wanted, which was not necessarily what audiences wanted, but then you have Jed MacKay, who is white, but he's writing what audiences want to see. Like he got Black Panther and Falcon back on the good foot. Like they and like prior to Jed MacKay's run, they were at odds. They were beefing. I was like, why is it like this? Yes, like
black men beefing. Like,
exactly.
There's always like some sort of supernatural apocalyptic event. You got black men beefing for what?
Right. So like during that whole period, I was wondering why is it like this? Because you had John Ridley writing Black Panther, you had Toshi Onyebuchi writing Falcon, and then they had all this conflict between them. And like on the one hand, on the one hand, black characters should be free to have conflict, to have disagreements. Like we're not a monolith, all of that. But at the same time, how much of it is part of the assignment? Like you wonder how much of it is editorial, because they only seem to hire black artists sometimes when they write what they want them to write. Like Che Anderson was going to write a Luke Cage book for the 50th anniversary, but then They canceled his book. Why? Because they probably thought it was too political. People talked about how it might have had like a Black Lives Matter, like a very true to life incident in it. So it's like so that just got canceled. People don't even know about it because it doesn't exist.
Right. I didn't
I
know about it.
I knew about it because I was waiting for it to come out.
That's nuts.
I was looking forward to it.
That's
But
Luke is my man too. That's
right,
actually my favorite. That he's in my top five. Luke Cage, no question. And that's my man.
and
And
that's another interesting character. Like you had
yeah,
white people write in, black people write in. And it's like an interesting contrast to see, um,
I think
what you
yeah,
like.
it's an interesting contrast because you got to also keep in mind that like it was white people that created this him who created that character. So
Based
when you
off
think
of
about like
stereotypes with like
based right. So how the real question is like how do you still incorporate those stereotypes with love and context
yeah,
as a
I think
black
the Luke
person?
Cage show did a great job of
I
like
think Luke Cage show did a fantastic
recontextualizing
job
it.
of
Yeah,
that. Yeah, of like being like, oh yeah, it is hokey, it is, it is based in like racial stereotypes, but there's an extra layer around how you can humanize these people that yeah, it may be these things, but there's a reason for why these people behave in the ways they behave and how it thematically works as certain within certain themes. Like there's certain particular themes that certain concepts that they talk about and juggle that are supposed to be bombastic in nature to deal with such like really really delicate and really really horrific I argue horrific like content like for to me like the whole concept of Blue Cage being like experimented on while in jail and the whole thing like it's just really dark shit, it's like horror shit. So like I think when white people like envision it they vision it in this like hawky way silly kind of offbeat kilter kind of way and kind of blow it up for comic books, make it more like superfluous for comic book world. But they're reaching from like real experiences, like black and brown people were experimented on, were killed in experiments and things of that nature. So and while in jail, while enslaved, so when you have that character, when you have that character being reinterpreted by black people, you got to keep all of that context and have the weight of that context that you're working with as a black writer, I think. And white
yeah.
people don't have that. They don't worry about that. And that in itself is its own conflict. But I say that because I wanted to make a point about Falcon and Black Panther because I want to read what you're saying about them having conflict. And I think that there's something rich
So
there I want to
so let
talk
me
about.
so on
Yeah.
that point, let me say like so John Ridley. Ever since John Ridley wrote Black Panther, Black Panther has been in exile. Like he's not the king of Wakanda anymore.
Okay.
Everybody said you're a piece of shit. We don't like you anymore. Like get the fuck out of here. Like even Storm was cussing him out. Like it was really terrible because nobody like I don't know why he wrote T'Challa that way. This was after Chadwick Boseman had passed. All the T'Challa fans are like, can we get one depiction of the T'Challa that is like putting some respect on his name because that was not it. And ever since then, T'Challa had been exiled, but this book was trying to put some respect back on T'Challa's name. T'Challa was invited back to the Avengers because even though everybody else was like not trying to deal with T'Challa, um, Carol Danvers, who's now the leader of the team or the chairwoman, she was like, T'Challa, actually, you're a brilliant man, and you're a hero, and we need you. And so they brought him back in, and he stepped up to it, and like these are the
Of course he
A-list
did.
heroes saving the world, and like not only that he
Uh,
like this talks there was a whole arc where he went into like a pocket dimension and helped this
right.
the civilization fight oppression, and like they wanted him to be the king there. He was like, sorry, I
Right.
gotta go back to my people, but I
That's
was glad
ill.
I could help. So it's like, and so like so many things that I feel like you know I think it it just reflects on the character more than the writers, and I think that's the goal sometimes. Like
Interesting.
you have to tell stories that are true to the character, no matter who you are. Like I
I
do
think that
believe that
that's
everyone should get a chance to write and use their imagination. So I'm not saying we gotta discriminate against anybody for who they are.
because
I'm
that's
saying we
but
gotta
that's
be
yeah.
authentic about who these characters are and tell a good story.
See, I agree with you. However, I just think that the hard part is that all those characters in a lot of cases are for interpretation.
Yeah.
So you're gonna always like have like somebody interpreting what they got from that character in their own specific way when they write the character. So that's the hard
Absolutely.
thing. That's the hard thing. So with that being said, what I wanted to bring up, what I thought was an interesting point about you saying that there was conflict between Falcon and Black Panther. I think that that's fertile territory. I would like to read that run to see what that's about
Yeah.
because like I think that
Bruh.
which I've been actually advocating for a while, but I think that there are a lot of reasons why characters like Falcon and Luke Cage are usually considered like subpar and not interesting and less than or hokey or whatever the case may be. And as opposed to like a character like Black Panther. I think that there's something to be said about that. I think that there is like an exoticism and
Yeah.
a fetishization of foreign black
Yes.
black people that aren't from America
This has
that
been
come
big with
here,
Storm as well. Like
royalty.
as much as
Yeah.
I love Storm, she has definitely
Right.
been exoticized,
Exoticized,
fetishized,
right. Fetishized,
tokenized.
tokenized,
It's
right. It's
rough,
that idea. Right. And that's always something that, so with that being said, you have this American man who's Falcon that is in conflict with this other foreign black man. They're both black men, but have a totally
bruh.
different experience.
Man, we
There's
have.
something to be said about that.
Okay, we're gonna you're gonna have to read those issues. I'll send you the
Yeah,
issues because we have to
please.
talk more about this because I have a lot to say, but I don't want to color your opinions with my
Yeah.
opinions. So I'll let you read it before
Mhm.
I say
I
anything more
will.
about it.
I certainly will. Because I think the same thing with like someone like I've been said this about Luke Cage. Like I've been for years, I say Luke Cage over Black Panther any day. For me personally, Luke Cage over Black Panther any day. Any day of the
Interesting,
week,
interesting.
any day of the week, any night, any day, any afternoon, whatever. Like it's always Luke Cage Black Panther for me.
That's interesting because like
Yeah.
I go in phases with all my favorites. Like
Mm.
I have a lot of favorites, and sometimes I'll just like deep dive into one, then I'll move on to the next one. Like I try to have room for them all,
Mm.
but if it's Black Panther and Luke Cage, it's hard. Man, I can't pick like you. I'm glad you got your
Uh,
favorite, but like
For me, I don't have a. I try not to pick favorites. I
yeah,
don't pick really. I don't really like. However, there is something about the underrepresentation of Luke Cage, and especially in regards to Luke Cage being deemed less than because he's American black,
yeah,
and he is, prison black. He's
yeah,
like, former ex-con black.
yeah,
That's like that in itself, like, and so many levels and echelons in our society, we deem that to be the most like unuseful and
yeah,
like very 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 like
yeah,
worthless person is that type person that came from jail that's enslaved born in this country. Like they are considered the most least important person in America most of the time.
yeah,
So that's why I look at Luke Cage's royalty, because
yeah,
to me Luke Cage representing that and still having this power and completely subverting all of those ways in which black people are consumed. Like he's black, muscular, rip muscles, good looking. He talks in jive. It's all these different things that white people like fetishize, and he actually uses it so as a veil. He decides to become a hero for hire. He's like, I'm gonna use my likeness, the way you consume me. I'm gonna make money off of it. I'm gonna take my own narrative, as opposed to someone like T'Challa, who's like, all right, well, I'm born into this. I don't have this experience about being American black, but I'm gonna come over and say what I think is best anyway. I have the strategy. I'm the genius here. I know what I'm talking
Well.
about in a lot of
Hold on though,
cases.
because I was going to say to your point though, like that's what I love about Black Panther also because um this is specific to the Ta-Nehisi Coast run where he was
Yeah,
the intergalactic empire of Wakanda.
right.
Like his memory was wiped. He was sent to another planet, and he was made a slave.
Wow,
And he had to overcome all of that to rise back to where he was meant to
that's
be.
ill.
And like that story right there said so much about just
How to use the codes.
the black person's struggle, whether you're
Yeah,
African, whether you're Black American, you're like what, or whether you're just a slave of any kind, like of like serious like hard labor slavery. Like it just shows that like a king is not necessarily something that you're born into. A king is something that you have to embody, something that is like someone who rises
yeah,
above, someone who
word,
leads. Like
word.
so like when I think about T'Challa, I'm always thinking about that story because like it's like
Excellent.
it's different. Like there are lots of stories that don't include that aspect of T'Challa where he's
Hmm.
suffered the worst of the worst.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but that one for
You gotta
me,
read that again.
yeah, it's like it's definitely one of my top favorites.
That's incredible. I'll definitely reread that again because, like, maybe I'll read it for February for Black History Month to like get through it.
Oh, and then the
But I
end.
actually, and
Yes,
yeah, I'm gonna do that for Black History Month. Actually, thank you for that idea, my good man. That will help me get
we
through the
should do a
month.
whole podcast about
We
that
should
in
do a whole
February.
podcast about it in February. Yeah, we should
Okay,
do like
okay.
a
So here's our.
podcast.
We're gonna talk about
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about Black Panther. We're gonna talk about
Hmm.
Falcon,
Uh-huh.
and
And Luke
maybe if you love
Cage.
and
Uh,
yeah, and maybe some Octavia Butler as well
Yeah,
as we go
I will
into
also
February.
argue. Yeah, indeed. I think
And
also, like
Harriet
I said,
Tubman,
like
Demon Slayer.
Harriet Tubman, but also Luke Cage. I'm gonna talk about my man David F. Walker,
Yeah.
who I think in recent memory had the best Luke Cage and Power Fist run. Him and
hmm
Sanford
hmm
Green.
and
Those are the
speaking of
best
them, I need to
ones.
read more of
Love it.
Bitterroot as well. Like I
Bitterroot the
read the
Truth. Yeah,
first
me too.
trade.
I have it. I haven't even got a chance to get to it yet.
Yeah, I
I
read
should
the
always
first
do it.
trade. So like yeah, let's catch
Uh-huh.
up on that because
Yeah, let's do
that's
that.
definitely worth reading as well.
Or and also we can talk about Matt. There's a Matt Johnson's book called Incognito, which is a
Oh,
very good book too. And I've read that years ago, and that's actually a fantastic book, and that might be worthwhile for us to read. And what we should rock and consider doing is doing like a comic book club, and then we could just go ahead and be like, all right, we could probably give ourselves like 2 weeks to get through a book, and then at the end of the 2 weeks we meet up and talk about it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that might be
yeah.
a consideration. Like, see if people down for that because I would love to do that if you ever.
All right, everybody. After you hit like and subscribe, you can drop a comment. See which of these books you'd like to join us in reading over the next month or so.
Word.
This is, an open conversation. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear what you're reading, and mostly, I just want to thank you all for being here and joining us in this conversation. Like it's always a good time, and thank you so much, Travelle, for being with me today. And any
Thank
final
you for having
thoughts you'd
me.
like to share?
Yeah, man. I think the final thought I would like to share is try to invest in your imagination. Read more fiction. Honestly, read more fiction. I know that like the world right now got us in a position in which we have to always read facts and read what is going on with the Orange Man in the White House, and like and have to be on just on edge at all times. What we are like when Trump was president in 2016, we were all on edge all the time, but yeah, still white people voted him back in. But whatever. So, but with that being said, please try to make sure you read some fiction as as escapism and as a form of protest because it gives you rest and it actually helps you imagine not just what is, but what could be. So please read more fiction.
And also, if I can just add to that, like it's also a good meditation on our values. Like
Indeed.
what makes a hero?
True.
What type of actions? Like what should our society be defending? Because it's definitely not that orange turd in the White House.
No, no, it's so true. It's so true. No, it's so
So
true. It's so true. And I think my final thought, quick. My wife and I were talking about Nick Spencer's run with the Hydra joint, with the Captain America Hydra joint, and I
yeah,
have to go back and read that because now that has a whole
yeah,
new context. Now, after Trump being president twice, he ran up on the Capitol, the whole thing, and they still put him back in a position to be the ambassador for America, just like Captain America being a Nazi. Like like it's in a similar spot. Like people, for some reason or another, you know, uh, are okay with this, and I think that kind of reflects where we were at with America when Captain America became like Hydra. I think like it kind of reflects like there was like a huge swath of people that was totally fine with it, thought it was good writing, thought it was fun, and then another half of it that were horrified. Like I was horrified. And I think that kind of speaks to a lot of the ways in which we're thinking about like the general politics right now. So I think that's worth revisiting. I think I might revisit that run.
yeah. I definitely have a lot of thoughts on that run. And yeah, like so we got a lot of material that we might be able to bring into next month.
Oh
But
yeah.
real quick, I also want to shout out the fact that Wonder Man is airing at the end of this month, January 27th. So
No, that's right.
like we are going to be on Threads talking about it, maybe Instagram, and maybe even we might be able to do something DMVCBN live or recorded. I don't know. We're going to brainstorm and
That'd
see
be
what
cool.
happens. But
I
yeah.
would love that actually.
And also a new issue of Black Panther Intergalactic Empire comes out this week, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm so glad they brought that back. Victor Laval is the writer on there.
Oh, sweet.
Um,
I hope.
Anything else on the horizon that we should be looking forward to?
Yes. I mean, like this is only to the homies in the Queens area. I'm gonna be DJing at my local gym at the end of the month, the 29th. I'm gonna put it up on
Nice.
my Instagram, put up the information. I got like a flyer, the whole joint. So if you are in the Queens area, New York area, please consider stopping on through for a workout with me DJing on the ones and twos. It
Absolutely. Everybody,
should,
check him out.
yeah, it should be a most excellent time.
Do you go by your name or do you go by a DJ name?
I usually go by DJ Big Boy Nerd. Big
All
Boy
right.
Nerd's ubiquitous. He just the Big Boy Nerd is like is all and is all and nothing at the same time.
A man of many talents. All right.
Indeed.
Cool, cool. All right. I mean, I also want to mention that the last issue of Black Panther, of the Ultimate Black Panther, is coming out next week as well.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, say word.
I,
Did they cancel Spider-Man? They did, right?
they canceled all the Ultimate books.
I haven't even read the last issue of Spider-Man because I'm so upset about that. I'm like, I don't even want to, because
Yeah,
it's so
it's.
good. I'm like, and I was just mad, like people mad and they want to cancel it. They like, fine.
I'm still wondering if it's going to be another fake out. Marvel does fake outs all the time. Like, oh, it's canceled. Oh, here's a new number one. Get ready for the Ultimate Universe, like the triple Ultimate. Like, I don't know.
Nasty work, nasty work. That's nasty work because they keep trying to get all these new people to read. It's like, stop that. Just tell the story. Like you're gonna have core fans. Just tell a story. Like tell a
Yeah.
story, man. Like that's what people are invested in now, especially like something long form. Like people are clamoring for that again. Like people tired of waiting 3, 4 years for one season.
Yeah.
They wait, people want to wait for one season. Stranger Things came out with like what 8 episodes after like 5 years or some craziness. It's like who cares? Like what dog, like we trying to get back to these like 20 episode binge it like we have like a whole like content substantive content that we can get through because everything is short form everything like so if you get a chance in which you could dial in some way especially with a story people are into that I think right now but I don't think the companies is catching up to that yet. I think they still going I think you're right. I think it's going to be a number one again. It's going to be so stupid.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, man.
It's definitely a shame if it goes out. If they kill a success, but at the same time, for me though, I do wonder if a good ending will make it stand the test of time because so often comic books do not give us an ending. It's like big two Marvel DC comic books, like they're always ongoing. So like sometimes I really value a story with a good ending, but we'll see.
Yeah, for real. I mean, like I said, I'm sad, man. I love that shit. I thought that this Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man was the truth, bro. I thought it was like brilliant. And I think that there was parts of it that like I think that I just like that's Hickman though. Hickman, we'll talk about Hickman another time because like I like Hickman, like he does great stuff, but then I think that what he does is he kind of like I don't know if it's if like I think you made this point I think before a couple months ago, but I don't know if it's like a matter of it being that he just like presents like diverse ideas as a thread just to like all right here like let's do some fan service, or is it that he's actually trying to tap into a diverse like lived in experience and actually tell that story for real like Spider-Man for instance, like he's married in a successful happy committed loving relationship with Mary Jane with kids. That is a Spider-Man that we have like I don't think we've ever seen a Spider-Man like that
We
before. That's
have,
like we
well,
have seen
I
it.
just have to say, because he had
Yeah,
there was a whole run with his daughter Mayday,
Mayday in
and
the
then there was,
'90s.
yep, and then there was another
Yeah,
one with Renew Your Vows.
right,
But
right.
to your point though, in modern history,
Modern history.
it's been
Yeah,
a while since we've
been
seen
a
this.
while.
So,
Yeah, yeah. Renew
um,
Your Vows. I remember too, but that was a mini series. That was like six issues or
I
something
think it
like
might have
that.
had like up to towards 12, 20. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I have the majority of them too. I have a majority of Renew Your Vows. I think it was, but like I said, like the point is like we talk about Hickman later because he did the same thing with X-Men. He would like
yeah, yeah,
present like these like really interesting, ideas that would change the entire fabric of the characters and give them more depth. And he just like presents it and then doesn't answer any questions and leaves it. Like the whole thing about like Jean, Wolverine, and Cyclops being a throuple.
yeah.
That was brilliant. That could have really been some fertile stuff, but he like kind of presented it like, oh, maybe, and then we like then moved on.
Like
Like we never heard about it again. It sucks.
yeah, I'm definitely probably because I've been in comics for so
Mm,
long. I'm not even going to say how long, but basically, I'm a little bit jaded because I grew
mm,
up on the original Ultimate Universe. So
right.
this entire time we've had this Ultimate Universe, it's been hard for me to jump on board and fully
I hear
invest
that.
because I
Yeah.
because I knew it wasn't gonna last. Like I mean, honestly,
You knew
because
that,
I knew it because it didn't last
bro.
before. Like I don't know. Like even with all the buzz, I felt like this is to be honest. This is why I'm not buying Ultimate Black Panther because as much as I love Black
Yeah,
Panther, I'm
yeah.
like it's an
I
Ultimate book.
stopped collecting too.
I'm buying the
Yeah,
616 books because I want them to
yep.
print more
To
of
print
those
more of those.
because
Yep,
that's ongoing. But the
yep,
Ultimate book I knew it wasn't going to last, and I didn't know where
yeah,
it was going, and I was like, well, I'm interested in it. I'll read it on Marvel Unlimited, but I knew I couldn't spend my dollars on it knowing it wasn't going anywhere or I mean hopefully it goes somewhere. I don't know, I'm not counting it out yet. I'm just saying based off of
they ain't gonna go nowhere.
experience. I'm just saying like what is Ultimate Endgame? I don't know yet, but we'll see. um
Yeah, man, it sucks because like that shit. I don't know, bro, because it was such a good concept. The whole Ultimate Universe, Reed Richards, what is it, the Thinker,
because
Goodwill Island, and all of that. It was
on the
good
opposite
concept.
hand, the Absolute Universe, people are
Hmm.
loving that so much it's topping all the
Love
sales
it.
charts.
Yeah,
They people are talking about like, are they going to just
make
ditch
them the
mainstream DC and go into
mainstream.
Ultimate? Like,
Ooh,
I mean, Absolute.
that's
Like, I don't know.
crazy.
Like,
No, I don't think they are, but I think that this what's going to happen is like they're going to really invest in those stories, especially like we see like the DC knockout joint. They actually started to like they like featured them,
well,
show they show
they've
up,
been
they show
leading.
up.
They've been
Yeah.
leading up to this the whole time in a
Hmm.
similar way. Like, from the All In Absolute
Yeah.
beginning, the two universes were
That shit
bound to
was
come
ill.
together.
Yeah,
But the
that shit was
question is
ill
like,
though.
how long is all this gonna go?
Gonna
Because I
last.
do think it is a little unsustainable for a publishing company to have
Yeah.
two mainstream versions of the same
Uh,
characters,
I
like
mean, but they have to
in
drop some
perpetuity.
stuff. We know what's going to drop first is Milestone. They're going to let Milestone fly,
Of course.
flourish. That's
But the
one
good
thing.
news is that this static book does
Yeah,
feature a lot of milestone characters. You got Icon, you
yeah,
got Rocket, you got
of
Static.
course.
Yeah, they
It's like
mentioned a
they're
few
serving
others
the
as well.
need to like get the quota out there for like black readers. Like, yeah, that's cool, but it's to like really invest, like give it like the full blown universe it deserves in its own line.
Yeah.
Like like dark, like DC Black and all that other dumbness that they were doing. Like they were doing all that. They could drop that, drop Vertigo again for a little while. 'Cause I think they started Vertigo up again for whatever reason. So
You
drop
know,
those
like the
and
Black
just focus.
Label.
Yeah, the Black Labels thing. Yeah, it was Black Label. So like drop the Black. Who's buying Black? Who's buying? Like I've been buying them, but I don't buy them because Black Label was like for collection
I've got one or
so
two.
I got like one or two as well, but it doesn't like those types of like high class prestigious books that you're supposed to spend like $13 on the issue. It's like that's cool and all, but like I rather have like you said like them focus on absolute and the main continuity and get that like straight and like tell a story around that for like at least 3 to 5 years. And then like if you want to break some stuff up again and do what that's cool. But like I think the absolute universe is a success and it's really incredible and there's a lot of potential because there's so many characters we haven't met yet that in the absolute universe I would and I think that imagine like how ill an absolute universe is going to look for like like I don't know like a Black Canary and Green Arrow or like or like a Booster
Well,
Gold
it's
like
not looking
absolute
too good for
universe.
Absolute Green Arrow, but
I know they're going to cancel my boy. That's really
but
whack, man. Oh yeah, but yeah, I saw what happened I saw what happened with Green Arrow. Yeah, it sucks.
yeah,
My boy, man. Yeah.
but who knows? They
It,
might find a new way to
find a
kind of
way,
to
yeah, to bring him in.
yeah. So
Yeah.
all right, well, lots of good stuff on the horizon. Thanks again for joining me. Thanks everybody again. Like and subscribe. And thank you to all the new followers. Like this is really exciting. If you also can give me a like on or a follow on Instagram, that'll help me get up to 1,000 followers, so I can go back on Instagram Live. But also check out Big Boy Nerd on Instagram and his various platforms as well. Check out his DJ set. And yeah, until next time, my friends, Excelsior!
Excelsior.
Bye-bye.